Okay, so as we all know, there's been this huge controversy within the Mortal Kombat community due to the new trailer that we recently got, the Mortal Kombat 1 Ungadi trailer, which revealed several characters, including Tanya, who is causing this huge commotion within the Mortal Kombat community. What's up, everyone? It's Legend X Ronin, and today I want to give my thoughts on this whole Tanya controversy thing that's going on. Now, I don't want this video to come off as some kind of rant or anything, but a legit discussion because this quote-unquote controversy has already kind of been somewhat of a thing for quite some time now, and some things do need to be said, so let's get into it. First, let me just state that the word racist has been being thrown all around this controversy, and at times there's a definite reason for it because there's definitely some racist ass comments being made. But I do want everyone to know that there's a clear-cut difference between someone saying something that is racist and someone who's saying something that is prejudice or microaggressive. And that's mainly what we're getting from some of these comments. Now, this is something that needs to be understood in general, but that's a whole nother conversation for something else. Regardless, I will say that some of the things that have been said do come off kind of messed up, though I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with giving a legit critique to a design. All that being said, I will be making several points on my thoughts on some of the things that have been said about Tanya on social media and just Tanya in general. Okay, so first I want to talk about Tanya essentially becoming racially ambiguous. Now, if you've kept up with the character Tanya and even Jade since they were first released in the Mortal Kombat series, you've known that they've essentially been whitewashed over years as far as like the skin tone, and it's gotten to a point where both of them has coming off racially ambiguous, with Jade probably reaching peak at Mortal Kombat 9 and Tanya, of course, in Mortal Kombat X when she was in the story mode. Because of that, that's caused a lot of different discussions within the community, with a lot of people, of course, throwing out similar different takes on it, like them not being black but Adenian. And I just want to make several points off of that because clearly there are characters in other realms like Outworld that are inspired by races that are in Earthrealm. Like if you look at Boraicho, who is from Outworld, you're not going to tell me, oh, he's Outworldian. Clearly he's inspired by Asian, like the Asian race. Like you're not going to look at him and not say he's Asian, because I guarantee you if I ask most of y'all that, like what race do you think he is, most people are going to say Asian, though he's from Outworld. So that point is pretty moot in my opinion, and honestly I feel like it's kind of a redirection to the fact that Adenia in general can have people of different races. Like just because that's their realm doesn't mean that there's not people that make up different races and skin tones and things like that. Secondly, we have people who say that, of course, Tanya's Egyptian. Like, she's not black, she's Egyptian. But I think that one's crazy as well, considering that Egypt is in Africa and people act like there aren't black Egyptians. And it's already facts, if you really just want to research, that the Egyptians who built the pyramid were black. But that's a topic for another conversation. All that being said, NetherRealm Studios have already made it clear that Tanya is a black character back during the Mortal Kombat X days, because for the Mortal Kombat X mobile game, they put out a picture for Black History Month that showed off black characters within the franchise, which had Jade, Tanya, Jackie, and Jax all on the picture. So if they're already saying it themselves, I don't know why people are still arguing it, but that's beside me. Okay, so the next point I want to go to is how a lot of people on social media are saying that Tanya does not look familiar. Now, with that, I will say she doesn't look like what we've previously seen because, as I already stated before, there's been like this whole thing of essentially her kind of being whitewashed over the years, and they've kind of just done a lot different with her design. But as we know, we're now in a new era with Mortal Kombat 1, and I guess they decided to go ahead and change things up and give characters new looks, of course, because now with Tanya, she has more Afrocentric hair, which a lot of people are complaining about her hair and saying things like she doesn't have her classic bob, which honestly I think is crazy, because the bob that she had in Mortal Kombat X, that was her first time even having the bob. She's actually had a different hairstyle every game she has been introduced in. So I think that's pretty crazy for people to be saying that she doesn't have her classic bob because that's not a classic hairstyle for Tanya. Now, of course, though, I'm sure they're going to give her some kind of skin maybe that has a bob. She could get a skin that has some of her other designs like in Mortal Kombat Deception as well. Another thing that people have commented on about her appearance is that she doesn't have her classic glowing eyes, which if you were paying attention to the gameplay trailer, it actually showed her eyes glowing when she used certain abilities. Now, I feel that NetherRealm Studios are choosing to actually give her glowing eyes meaning this time around, considering that they're now in a new era where things are now different. So maybe they want to make it to where her eyes glow due to the abilities that she does now. Also, in MKX, she didn't have the glowing eyes in the story mode. She didn't get them until the DLC, which was a big thing with that. And not to mention, in her original design, she never had glowing eyes. So I think it's kind of crazy to criticize that she doesn't have glowing eyes all the time, especially considering, like I said, you can see in the gameplay that she does have them when she uses certain abilities. I just think that now with the new era, they're just giving more meaning into her glowing eyes being a thing when she's doing her abilities now. The last point I want to make about Tanya's look not being familiar is that face models weren't even a thing until Mortal Kombat 11. Before Mortal Kombat 11, characters were just designed and were given a look, but with the introduction of Mortal Kombat 11 and now in Mortal Kombat 1, characters in-game now receive face models on how they look, and this would be Tanya's first time ever having a face model, considering the last time we saw her was in Mortal Kombat X. Now, as I said before, NetherRealm Studios has already confirmed that Tanya is a black character, so of course, when choosing a face model for her, they would choose a black woman to be her face model for this game because she's a black character, which would mean that she has more Afrocentric features compared to how she looked prior in games where she was just giving a character design by the creators. So it makes a lot more sense for her to look a little bit more different, considering that she never was given African-centric features in prior games. And of course, like I said before, they always change her hairstyle every single game it seems. So they wanted to try something different by giving her a more black hairstyle, which I personally think looks really nice. And as I said before, we could always get skins with the previous game hairstyles that she had before. And of course, lastly, Tanya's being judged off of a face that she was making during a scene where she was showing emotion. And I think it's crazy that a lot of people are harping on this particular scene, considering that there's other scenes where she doesn't look like this, like when she's talking to Melina. We already know in the past that NetherRealm Studios has had points where they didn't get the character's face in game quite right. Like there was the time with Wonder Woman in Injustice 2, Supergirl in Injustice 2, or Joker in Mortal Kombat 11 when we got the original reveal trailer compared to when he was actually in the game. This is just something that happens, and considering that this game has not gone gold yet and is still a work in progress, I think this could be something we could expect to be touched up a little bit. But honestly, like I said, if you look in these other scenes, she doesn't look like how people portray her to look in this particular scene where she's showing emotion. So I think it's a bit harsh to kind of judge the character design based on this scene, and I think that this will be one of those things that get touched up in the future when the game finally is released and we're actually playing it. And one final note that I also want to make on that is the fact that her face model is a beautiful woman, and I think it's really crazy with all the stuff that people are saying about Tanya's face, because technically you're talking about this woman's face, which honestly, the things I've read people say is completely opposite of how she looks, because as I said, she's a gorgeous woman. And I think that some people need to go ahead and take that into account of what they're saying online, because it's very harmful what you're saying and very mean. So I think that a lot of people should probably think about what they're saying before they actually go out there and tweet it, because as we know, these characters all have face models now based on actual people's faces. So when you're calling someone a certain name, you're essentially saying that to the face model. Moving on to my next point, I want to talk about Tanya's gameplay, because a lot of people are talking about how she does not have any of her classic moves, which I will say her gameplay is a bit more new. Like, she has new abilities and she's using, of course, new combo strings with a new weapon. Now, that is something that typically happens though with a new game. You're going to get new abilities, they're going to get new combo strings, which overall amps up their gameplay to something new. That being said, they do typically keep older abilities with some characters and change them up a bit, which is essentially the case here because if you look at her gameplay, she does have some of her classic moves. Yes, she doesn't have her classic Tomfus and has a new segmented staff, but the segmented staff did look like it had some of the combo strings that Tanya had with her Dragon Naginata variation from Mortal Kombat X. That being said, the only actual classic moves that she's missing is her fireballs and her split kick. A user on Twitter by the name of Revit Leafing has shown a clip that showcases her abilities on how they looked before compared to how they look now in Mortal Kombat 1. Also, we haven't even seen Tanya's gameplay broken down yet, so for all we know, she could have those other classic abilities like her fireball and her split kick. So I think it's a bit too early to assume that she doesn't have classic moves, definitely considering that we've already seen some of them showcased within the Ungadi trailer. The final point that I want to make is Tanya's new story in NetherRealm Studios development. Keep in mind that this is the beginning of a new timeline, a new era. They've already said that things are going to be different and we've already seen plenty of changes. Going back to Tanya's appearance, her new appearance in Mortal Kombat 1 is based on her role as an Ungadi priestess, which is a new story arc that Tanya has in this new timeline. The Ungadi are priestess, so I doubt she'll have that same rebellious look that she had in previous games. Based on Tanya's bio, it seems like she's going to be romantically involved with Melina, though that is against the Ungadi's rules. We all know that Melina is going to eventually turn bad based off of her bio and how she is in prior games. With Tanya being loyal to her still even in this story, more than likely she's going to leave when Melina leaves, which means that her role in the Ungadi and even her appearance is probably going to change as the story progresses. As I said before, the game hasn't gone gold yet. We don't have our hands on the game, so we don't know what the final story is going to be like. So for all we know, Tanya's whole appearance could change by the end of the story, because that does happen where characters' costumes do change throughout the story. And for all we know, she might have a new look by the end of the game. So all I'm saying is, give it time, let's wait and see, and just let NetherRealm Studios cook, because I really do think that this is going to be one of the best stories they've given us yet. But that's all the points that I wanted to make about this whole Tanya controversy. Honestly, I do think it's a bit over the top, and as I said like several times, I think we should just give it some time. I really think that the current design that they did choose for her looks nice. We could still get other skins that showcases some of her classic skins. We might be getting more classic abilities once we see the character broken down, and of course we're going to see some touch-ups to the game when we finally get it in our hands. So I think that right now we should just wait and see, but for those of you who are also excited and like this new design, I think that they're really going in a great direction, and I can't wait to see what other skins she may have in the game. But I do want to say, if y'all are acting like this with Tanya having a new face model with more Afrocentric features, I could only imagine how y'all gonna react if Jay gets revealed for this game with the new face model with Afrocentric features, because I'm pretty sure that the internet's gonna blow up all over again, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But of course, what did you guys think about my opinion on the whole Tanya controversy? As I said, I didn't want this video to come off as a rant, but more so of a discussion, so I do want to hear opinions down in the comments below. I just ask that you do check the racism and the prejudice at the door. But of course, if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to drop it a like to help support the channel. Let's see if we can get this video at least 50 likes. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter to keep up with my channel and all discussions that I have about Mortal Kombat 1. And of course, don't forget to check out my other videos and subscribe for more Mortal Kombat 1 content. This is X Ronin. Stay humble, and I'll see you all in the next video.